So it's the halfway point of the season in Formula 1 in 2023, and I think it's only right we do some half-term reports and have a look at the top 5 best drivers this season. We'll start off in 5th place, and I've got to give it to that man, Nico Hulkenberg. That is absolutely correct. You might be shocked. You might be asking why, Pete, why have you chosen Hulkenberg? The man is driving the Haas as if he never left Formula 1 in the first place. Bear in mind, people, Nico Hulkenberg has not had a full-time gig in Formula 1 since 2019, and he's absolutely doing wonders in that Haas. He's way ahead of Kevin Magnussen, and that has really shown how good he has been this season. He's got 9 points in the Drivers' Championship this season against Kevin Magnussen's 2 points. Now, you might say, hey, look, 7 points is the gap, but I tell you what, 7 points when you're near the back of the grid, 7 points is a lot of points for a team like Haas. Hulkenberg has come in as if he's had a massive point to prove, and I'm sure he has, because he's thinking, how on earth can I be left out of Formula 1 all these years, all this time? And he simply deserves to be in this top 5 because he is dealing with Kevin Magnussen, ladies and gentlemen. And check this, he's above both Alfa Romeos. Now you might think, hang on a minute, Peter, what's there to get excited about? And I make you right, you're absolutely right. Maybe there's nothing to get too excited about. But as I keep mentioning, this man hasn't driven in Formula 1 full time at least for 3 years. He's up against the likes of Valtteri Bottas, absolutely experienced in Formula 1. And don't get me wrong, Hulkenberg has been here, since 2010, but has had that big gap, big stint where there's been no racing for his part. And, with the regulations changing, it's like he's come in here as a rookie. He's basically starting all over again, but obviously the experience does help him a bit. But I would not expect him to be beating Magnussen the way he has, and I can't believe anybody else would have thought it would be by this much. He's come back with a point to prove, and boy, he's doing it. Shout out to Nico Hulkenberg. In 4th place, it's got to be Alex Albon, people. It's got to be Alex Albon. This man, the resurgence of Alex Albon has been nothing short of phenomenal. He's got back into that Williams team, and he is acting as if he is the leader, like he is the captain. He's the man leading Williams in the points at the moment in the Constructors' Championship against his teammate Logan Sargent, who, of course, is a rookie, but hasn't got any points as of yet. But Albon, some of the drives we've been seeing him do, some of the overtaking we've seen him do this season, honestly, he has been phenomenal. Do you know that Williams are P7 in the Constructors' Championship? And that's all down to the points that Mr. Alex Albon has got for the team. Since the man has come back in Formula 1, he's never looked back, okay? And this is a man who shows some great character, some great mental fortitude here, because you have to remember, when this guy was dropped by Red Bull and was out of a seat in Formula 1, it's a very hard situation to find yourself in. And yet somehow he manages to come back into a Williams where you think, okay, I'm not expecting much. Alex might do, be comfortable in that car and that might be it. But no, he's impressing. He's overachieving in that Williams. And that's the thing that stands out for me the most with Alex Albon. He's had a phenomenal season so far, and it's only right to put him in this top 4. Williams' team finally feels like his team, a team that he can mold himself around, a team that he can sort of mold to his potential, and who knows how far this team can go, of course, with Val's at the helm as well. It'll be interesting to see where they go next. I think there's another step still to go with Williams in order to have a real conversation in the midfield side, but for a team that was literally plumb last, we were watching Williams over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years where we just thought, what on earth is going on to such a historic, great, iconic team? Well, I'll tell you what, Alex Albon has given that team integrity. It is back, and I feel like I'm getting a glimpse back to Alex Albon's Toro Rosso days, if not better, definitely on par. 3, ladies and gentlemen, Fernando Alonso, of course, because never mind about him being 42, he's driving like he's 22, okay? This man is back in business, people. He's had a great start to the season. He's actually done really, really well. Yes, of late, he's not really been on the podiums as he was at the start of the season, but excuse me, Alonso and podiums in 2023, we would not have put that in the same bracket. Do not lie to me and say you expected Fernando Alonso before car touched the tarmac that he will be ending up in podiums. P2s as well, ladies and gentlemen. He's got 6 podiums this season out of the 13 races. That is phenomenal stuff. The Aston Martin has come to life. And with a man like Fernando Alonso, a man who is hungry, a man who is ready to keep going and take it to the drivers at the front, your Max Verstappens, your Lewis Hamiltons, your Charles Leclercs, and so on. He has really made a massive impact. He's been probably the surprise package, the most, the fun, the most exciting thing that we could say about this season is when Fernando turned up to the grid and was getting podiums like it was nothing. Now, bear this in mind, this guy is still 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, ladies and gentlemen. Fernando Alonso is 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, and it feels like he hasn't had a podium in ages, which is fair enough, but I want to give a holistic view of the first half of the season, okay? As we enter this summer break, I want to give a holistic view, and I think to myself, Fernando Alonso is still P3 in the Drivers, honestly, phenomenal scenes. And the fact that even P3, P2 in the constructors they were playing around with Mercedes this season, who would have thought Aston Martin would be anywhere near this conversation? Fernando Alonso has been doing phenomenally well. He's been unbelievably impressive, and I've been a massive fan of Fernando Alonso, so to see him doing so well in that Aston Martin has been a pleasant surprise. Getting back to see his raw pace when he can battle and when he can fight, because remember, he's not been in cars in the last, God knows, decade where he's been able to actually fight and actually really push against the teams and really see his racing craft. But we've been seeing glimpses of it this season, and we've all been drinking it in. Even the Fernando Alonso haters have to admit that, you know what, to see him at least be the only, maybe one of the few things that are exciting about this season outside of the Red Bull, hey, here he is. P2, and I'm going to say it right now, I am a little biased, but ladies and gentlemen, Oscarpiastri, a rookie? Please. This guy's not a rookie. He needs to be tested, okay? Because he is not driving like a rookie, ladies and gentlemen. This man has been impressive. And listen, this is before McLaren's upgrades when they really started to show some real mettle in the season. Piastri has not been that far from Lando Norris, okay? The car wasn't the greatest, but let me tell you something. We were looking at Piastri thinking, hang on a minute, the gap between Norris and Piastri is definitely nowhere near as wide as it was against Ricciardo and Norris. And that has to be something we have to take note in. I mean, look, people know Danny Ricciardo is a good driver, and many could say that, you know what, the McLaren car wasn't that great and it didn't suit Danny, and this is why he didn't do too well. But let me tell you something, a rookie has got into that team, and fair enough, you know, he won't know any other car really besides, like, you know, reserve driving elsewhere. The thing is, he's come into that McLaren team and he's just got his head down. He's got some humility about him. He's knuckled down and he's got on with the racing weekends, and he's learning. That's what he's doing. He's just learning every single race weekend what to do best with this car and how to get the best performance out of the team. And that's the thing, like, he's been really, really, really good. You would forget that he's a rookie because he's actually just really got in there and established himself, okay? The guy's got character. The man knows exactly how to overtake. The guy knows how to defend. I mean, we've seen him there, you know, he's got the pace as well. He's got unbelievable pace. We've seen P3s and P2s in terms of qualifications, even like the likes of the sprint race when he finished in the top 3 there, P2 in fact, you know, unbelievable stuff from Oscarpiastri. The guy's been phenomenal. He's been a breath of absolute fresh air for all McLaren fans as the second driver, as another driver to Lando Norris. Even though he is still behind Norris, we are seeing a star is being born in this team. A star is being born in Formula One. Oscarpiastri, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, he's the real deal. And bear this in mind as well, in the Drivers' Championship, he splits the 2 Alpine drivers. And you know what? With a bit more luck, with a little bit of luck, he could have actually been way ahead of those Alpine drivers as well. So, you know, Oscar's had a phenomenal start to the season. Even when the car's not been great, we've seen something about him. Now the car is so much better. Look at what this man can do. He is phenomenal, and he is P2 in my top 5 drivers of this season so far at half term. But number one, ladies and gentlemen, listen, there's no debate. We cannot have a discussion about best drivers in Formula One, about best drivers this season, even if it's the halfway point, if we're not going to talk about Max Verstappen. Why? The guy is phenomenal. Let's not deny. He is doing unbelievable things, Jeff, in that Red Bull. It's one thing to have a dominant car, okay? It's one thing to be a quick driver. But look at what the guy is doing in that car. He is cleaning house, okay? He's finishing 10, 20, 30 seconds in the lead after a race is finished. I mean, and ahead of another Red Bull, by the way. Checo Perez, he's put Checo under some serious pressure because he is that good. It's one thing to just say, oh, he's got the best car, so of course he's going to be P1 all the time. Yes, I hear all of that. But there's equal machinery. He is next to Sergio Perez, and look at what Sergio Perez is doing versus what Max Verstappen is doing. Max Verstappen is doing a phenomenal job, whether we like to accept it or not, and we are watching greatness. And I think at some point in time, you always have to just look back and just say, do you know what? Let's just salute greatness. Let's just look at what we are seeing here, because this guy could be, you know, heading up to the upper echelon. He could be one of the most elite drivers that we've ever seen in Formula One history. And I feel like if he wants to, he will. It's a matter of, does he really want to stay in here? Because you get that kind of vibe from him that he doesn't really want to be in Formula One too long. He's got other things he wants to do. And in fairness to him, he's been in Formula One since he was 17. He's like 24 years of age now. He's done a long stint in Formula One, okay? He's a 2-time, soon to definitely be 3-time Formula One world champion. And I don't know what it is. Ever since he got that first one in 2021, there's been a different Max Verstappen in terms of just turning it up a level, getting better and better as the seasons have gone on. Because we've always known about his raw pace. We've always been excited by him, even when he was in the Toro Rosso and at his early stages in the Red Bull. But now he's kind of, as an all-round driver, he's shaping it up here. Listen, he's still got some characteristics to sort out. As you know, we see the banter with him and his engineer, his race engineer GP. But at the end of the day, like, this guy is probably just bored, okay? He's just probably bored. He's trying to spice the season up, have a little bit of banter here and there. He wants to go into the pits and go and get faster slaps because that's how far out in front he is. But let's talk about it, okay? There is something that he is doing far better than Sergio Perez, more than just race pace, more than whatever else it may be, but the way he is dominating races, the way that he's finishing 10s and 20 seconds ahead of the next driver is truly, truly phenomenal. And bear this in mind now, he's got 8 race wins in a row, okay, ever since Miami Grand Prix, when he came from P9, by the way, and dunked on Sergio Perez, finishing 5 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez. He has won every single race up to date, and look, the next race, Zandvoort, will be at his home Grand Prix where he could equal Sebastian Vettel's 9 race wins in a row. And then he could also go ahead and overtake the 9 race wins. Race number 10 will be at Monza. So this guy could be making history right before our eyes, and we just have to accept it, respect it, and absolutely give him his flowers because he's done a phenomenal drive this season. The man has over 300 points in the Drivers' Championship. In fact, his points alone for Red Bull would still have Red Bull leading the Constructors' Championship. Meanwhile, Checo is not even on 200 points and Max Verstappen 300 plus. That just shows you the levels. The guy is driving out of his skin, and I think there's still more left in the tank because he hasn't really got that competition. And if he really did, I think there's still more that he has to offer. But we'll have to wait and see how far, how high Max Verstappen can go, because right now, sky's the limit for Max Verstappen. He's been phenomenal, without doubt, the best driver in 2023 so far at the halfway stage of the season. Do you agree with my top 5s? Do you disagree with my top 5s? Make sure you comment down below. Smash a like if you like Formula 1 content like this, and if you want to see more and more of it, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Peter on pole, thank you for being here. If you've been watching this video, you're in pole position. Until next time, lights out.